Hello, this is Dana Arcuri, author, speaker, survivor, and certified trauma recovery coach from danaarcuri.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to talk about the Gray Rock method and also the no contact rule. And 'tis the season to be jolly. Now that we're heading into the holidays, I think it's a really important time to really focus on how can we best support ourselves, physically, emotionally, spiritually, etc., etc. And by gaining insight, education, and wisdom into how to gray rock or choose to go no contact, whether it is the narcissist, the flying monkeys, maybe it's your in-laws, maybe it's an intimate partner, maybe you recently had to cut ties with the abusive siblings or toxic family unit. So everyone's situation can be very, very different. But in today's subject and content, I am going to share like the nuts and bolts of gray rocking and no contact, an effort to help you get through the holidays, and may they be much merrier for you. And so the one thing I wanted to bring up is that everything is energy. So people are energetic. And I don't mean that as in stamina. I mean that in our bodies, we may not be able to visually see it, but there is energy with everything, including people. And so have you ever walked into a room, and let's just say last year for Thanksgiving, you went and visited your birth family and spent Thanksgiving with them. And the moment you walked into, just say it was the narcissistic father's house, just like that, like in your body, you felt exhausted, you felt drained, you maybe got a migraine, maybe you started having heart palpitations and anxiety, and you just felt extremely uncomfortable and not at ease. And we can understand that there is a body and mind connection, especially with trauma, with abusive relationships, and that yes, there really is a correlation between people and their vibrational, energetic vibrations. And so whether it's positive or negative. So for example, the narcissistic sibling might be a big bully. And when you're in their presence, it might make you feel physically ill. Maybe you feel nauseous. Maybe you feel fatigued. Maybe you feel like you just need to run and escape. And it's your body alerting you. And we must take heed and pay attention to all of our body sensations, internal and external, physical, spiritual, and emotional, because it all is valid. So let's talk about the foolproof technique to shut down toxic people with the Gray Rock method. All right, so the main goal of using the Gray Rock method is to enable a smooth transition from being close to becoming more distant from a toxic person or an entire family unit. Again, it could be family mobbing. It could be that your entire family of origin is extremely dysfunctional. Or it might just be, for you, it could be the narcissistic boyfriend, girlfriend, intimate partner. And there's so many variables that go into this. So understand that each of us have our own experiences and circumstances. But nevertheless, we can understand that when we are heading into the holidays, there's a more likely chance that we will be invited to someone's party, someone's festivities, a Thanksgiving meal, possibly like Christmas Eve, New Year's Day, etc., etc. And we really need to amp up those boundaries. But building awareness and understanding how to gray rock or how to go full no contact can really be the key for you to enjoy this holiday season. And really, this is any time, like collectively, this is for any time of the year. But I can't help but think about the holidays. Hello, they are upon us. And we can really find realistic ways to emotionally support ourselves. And so let's go with number one. Tips for the Gray Rock method. Don't reveal your strategy. Shh. This case, you do keep it a secret. While I'm not a big fan of secrets, there are some things as confidential in private. And so when you go gray rock, or even if you did choose no contact, keep it private. You don't need to disclose to them what you're up to. Shh, keep it on the lowdown and learn the strategies and focus on it. So don't reveal your strategy. Avoid telling whether it's the narcissist, the abusive siblings, the ex-spouse, toxic family members, etc., etc. Don't tell them what you're up to. So don't slip up. Don't admit that you're going gray rock. And I'll tell you why. Because they will amp up their gaslighting, their manipulation, the drama and the discord, and they will make your holiday miserable. So we do not want them to have privy to this information. Next, if the emotional vampires are onto you. So say, for an example, you do go gray rock, and all of a sudden you're getting text messages, emails, phone calls from the narc. Where are you? Why aren't you calling me back? What's wrong with you? We can understand they may seek out to find ways to bait you, to provoke you, to victim shame you, or to try to make you feel guilty for not attending Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas or some other social function with the whole entire toxic unit. So they don't need to know what you're doing. We can understand also that a part of the gray rock method is that we don't divulge personal information about ourselves. So typically at social functions, especially during the holidays, it's really common that the flying monkeys and the narcissist and the nebby relatives want to pry into your personal life. You know, they're asking, why don't you get a real job? How come you never settled down? Are you still drinking? They may ask you some really, really absurd questions. They might have some real cruel things they say. Like, for example, the one about, are you still drinking? It could be that you've never been a drinker, and yet they're dumping on you some false accusation as if you're an alcoholic, and which you're not. But trust me, during these timely events, this is when they will bait you. They will come up with and create quite a dramatic accusation about you, especially gossiping about you at these social gatherings. So do not tell them about your love life, about your health, about your career, about your children or grandchildren. If you're moving or you're relocating clear across the country because you don't want to be near them anymore, hallelujah to you. I give you high fives. But the point is, don't tell them. If you're dating someone new, even if you got engaged, you might not necessarily need to divulge this type of information, because then there's all kind of crazy making that happens, the three-ring circus, more manipulation, the triangulation of relationships, and it could become extremely stressful. So when it comes to untrustworthy people, less is more. If they try to pry into your personal business and ask you questions that are quite inappropriate, don't give them any emotional reaction. Have a blank face, like literally on your face, have no expression. Just like that. And so you're not going to have facial expression. Don't even look them in the eye. And why? Because a lot of times when people look us in the eye or we look them in the eye, sometimes they could read us. They read us with body language. You don't want them to read your body language. You want to give them the most minimal reaction, if no reaction, to them at all. So keep in mind, the narcissist and the flying monkeys seek narcissistic supply. That means they want you crying, cussing. They want your holidays miserable. They want you freaking out, flipping out, and then they could turn around and say, I told you he or she's insane. I told you they're crazy. So you don't want this to fall back on you. Number 3, limit your contact and communication. Just because your ex-spouse and he's a narc and he calls you on the phone or he sends you hateful messages, you don't have to respond. You don't have to say one word. You don't have to email him back or her back, whoever it was. You can ignore it. Of course, document everything because you might need it for your legal records. One never knows when they're going to land in court. But the point is, you don't have to tell people everything about your life. You don't have to communicate every personal matter going on with you. You don't have to actually see people if you don't choose to see them. So, good chance they will fabricate stories about you, and they will try to distort the truth of your own reality. And again, that's like the stonewalling, the gaslighting, the manipulation, and they're very, very good at this. Next is stay distracted and detached. So emotional detachment means you are not going to have an emotional reaction to them. So you're not going to show with your body reaction that you're anxious, that you're stressed out, that you're angry, sad, mad. There will be no tears. There will be no crying. There will be no drama. And so it's really key to stay calm, stay cool, stay in control. Next is stop the distractions and stop the detachments. So when we're really detached, we're not really investing in, say, the relationship with a narcissist. So when we detach from, say, the abusive siblings, the ex-narc spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, etc., we detach. We're not putting our time, our energy, thinking about them, talking about them, investing in our relationship with them. No, instead, we're really pulling back. We're pulling back and we're like, whoa, I'm going to protect my energy here. I'm not going to really put a lot of time and energy into them because I'm protecting my energy. Boom, I give that thumbs up. Next is disconnect. Avoid eye contact with the instigators. The reason why is because eye contact facilitates an emotional connection. You don't want to emotionally connect with someone who's an emotional vampire who's going to suck the life out of you. Avoid you statements. And I'm going to give some examples so you understand where I'm coming from on this one. When you have no choice and you are, say, at a family gathering during the holiday season or even some other time, you sometimes will be in a position where you have no choice but to speak with a narcissist or the flying monkeys. You know, sometimes we can't always avoid them 24/7 around the clock. There are some people with certain situations that are very valid on why they're still in a relationship with very unhealthy, abusive people. So no judgment here, no judgment here. And so there are some statements we need to avoid. So here's a few. Avoid the statement, "You hurt me badly." Avoid the statement, "You cheated on me." Avoid the statement, "You lied to me." Avoid the statement, "You did such and such." So the whole thing with the you statements, it's almost like an attack. They become extremely defensive and then they'll reverse it and start attacking you. So it's just best to avoid starting a sentence with word "you did," "you said." Instead, "I believe," so we're going to rephrase it, "I believe that you misunderstood me. I believe that there must have been miscommunication between us." So there's really some definite ways we could go about this and instead use the I. I believe, I feel. In my conscious reality, this is what I experienced and observed. Next, we can understand that there are reasons why people don't go full no contact. So I'm just going to give a few examples. One example is, and we're giving this scenario, there's a woman and her name's Mary. Mary is married to a narcissistic husband named Frank. Frank is extremely domineering, aggressive, intimidating. He has a foul mouth. He has very negative energy. He criticizes Mary all the time. And she is not working. She does not have the financial freedom nor the luxury to leave Frank, the narcissist. And we can understand finances play a huge, significant role in whether someone walks away from a toxic relationship that's abusive, especially marriage. It's not always easy, especially for women. If there's someone who's a narcissist and they are draining your bank account, or it's a situation where they don't even give you access to the credit cards, the finances, the bank account, the savings account, money, etc., then you may be financially abused and not in a position to walk away, to divorce Frank. So this is what we're given this example of. Okay, let's throw out another example just so you get the gist of it. There's another person, and we're going to say his name's Tom. Tom was married to Barb, and Barb was the narc. And what happened was they got divorced, but they have 3 children, very, very young children. What does this mean? That means they're co-parenting together. That means that they can't necessarily go no contact because there's kids that are part of this big picture. They both have to co-parent. They both have to take responsibility. There is a lot of obligation on both of their parts, even though they're no longer married. And so typically when there is this situation of co-parenting with an ex, whether they were or they weren't a narcissist, we can understand that it can be unpleasant, but until your kids grow up, graduate from school and college, and become independent adults, you may have to gray rock and co-parent and learn some real great techniques to kind of keep the cool and gain peace of mind. So those are a few reasons. If you want to share others, you may be free to do so. Next is that we can understand that nobody goes full-blown no contact with a loving, caring, gentle, safe family of origin. No, instead they end toxic, abusive relationships because all other alternatives were exhausted and unsuccessful. So they broke free of all connections to their abusive, whether it was the abusive spouse, the abusive mother, the abusive siblings, fill in the blank. It could have been anyone who was abusive. They broke all contact. They ended the relationships because it was the last resort. Understand, if your family's loving, caring, gentle, kind, appreciative, compassionate, and empathic, there's no reason to go no contact. So understand that when people go no contact, it was their last resort. And I guarantee that was my experience too. Okay, so we're going to move on and talk about the no contact rule. All right? Before I do, I have to put in a little tiny message. Family estrangement is another word for going no contact with your family of origin. It does not mean that you don't love or care for your birth family anymore. Rather, it's more about loving yourself enough to know that sometimes people are incapable of giving us the unconditional, authentic love that we deserve. And so we do have this last resort, and many of us have chosen it. We chose it because it's self-preservation. We chose it because it's a huge, significant part of healing trauma. And now we're going to talk about the no contact rule. So this is what it involves. 0 contact, and that means face-to-face and long distance and on social media. So there are no phone calls. There are no text messages. There's no contact on social media. You are not spying on their social media platform. So we're going to just say Facebook. So say your ex-narc or your narcissistic father or sibling has a Facebook page. You don't peruse it. You don't look at it. Actually, you probably should block them so they're not watching you. Trust me, they are watching you at this very moment. Let that sink in. If you have not blocked them on social media, they're watching you, and you can take that to the bank. Next is no attending social functions where they are in attendance. Here's an example. Bob and Betty used to be married. Now they're divorced. Bob was the narcissist. They used to go to the same church. Betty chooses to opt out Maybe she found herself another church. The whole point is, no, you're not going to go to the same church. Why? Because Bob was probably gaslighting you, triangulating your relationship with everybody inside that church, or what have you, and it's extremely unproductive. So the best thing to do is don't attend functions, gatherings, parties, etc., where the narcissistic person or abusive person is in attendance. Next is, there are no emails, there are no letters, no cards or gifts. You are not sending a wonderful Christmas card to the narcissist. No contact means no contact. Next, do not check their social media profile. I already said that. No contacting the narcissistic person. So let's just say the narc is your boss. Well, no contacting your boss's family and friends and people who they are associated with. Next, no combing through old photographs of the abusive person. No going down memory lane, trying to remember all the good things. Because let's be honest, if you went gray rock or you're thinking about it, or you went no contact or you're thinking about it, we have to weigh the pros and the cons. There's a lot more cons. That's why you're in a position where it is your last resort to cut the ties for once and for all. Next is, do not show up at the same parties, social gatherings, the concerts, the funerals, the bridal shower, the wedding, etc. Nope, opt out. Next, do not keep old pictures on your cell phone. So if you and your ex-narc broke up, or you and your birth family are no longer in contact, don't keep those pictures floating around and hanging around for you to see every day on your cell phone or on your computer or what have you. Get rid of them. Delete. You don't need that memory. Why? It could be triggering. Just like that, you might accidentally see their picture and you might remember, oh my gosh, that was on the day they lied to me and they start triangulating my relationship with my husband or my daughter or whatever. And you might really end up feeling really horrible and your body has this reaction, maybe flashbacks, maybe you end up in chronic pain, or you just feel sad, or maybe you feel mad, which of course is justified. But the point is, we don't need these horrible reminders. Get rid of the photographs, people. Delete them off your phone. It's negative energy. Free up your time. You need to sometimes let things go in order to open the door of opportunity for some beautiful new positive things to come into your life. Next, do not stop to pick up your things. Say you left your coat or some albums or you left a cookbook or something at the family member or the narc or the toxic person's place. Forget it. Consider it a loss and move on. Do not go to their place and confront them and see them. Why? It's just going to cause more stress. They might end up baiting you, provoking you, gaslighting you, cussing you out, trying to make you feel shamed and put you on a guilt trip. That they'll have a big pity party. Oh, woe is me. Oh, woe is me. And then they pretend that they're the victim and you're the perpetrator. So please give yourself tender, loving care. Respect yourself. Give yourself the dignity, compassion, and empathy that you deserve, my friends. So there's no communication at all when you go no contact. And there's no hanging out at the places you used to spend together with these people. Say, for an example, maybe with one person who was in your family, maybe at one time you used to be really close with one of your siblings and you used to always go to this one favorite restaurant. You loved it and it was great, awesome food. Don't go there. You're going to have some memories and they might not be for your benefit. And if you cut the ties, sometimes it's best to just consider amping up those boundaries, honoring yourself where you are right now, and understanding that you deserve so much better. You deserve to be treated with kindness. You deserve to be respected. And so understand that if something doesn't feel right, trust your gut intuition. Gut instincts don't lie. And do what you need to do to take care of yourself, and then share with me, have you gone gray rock? If so, what is that like for you? Does it work? Is it successful? Or number two, did you go full no contact? How did you do this? Has it been challenging? What are your thoughts about the holidays? Are you going to see the family? Are you not going to see the family? It's really interesting to see what everybody chooses. But for me, I'm going to rock the holidays, surrounding myself around those people who are the most loving, highest energetic vibrations, who are respectful and caring and fun to be with. And I'm going to enjoy myself this year, and I sure hope you do too. If you'd like to learn more about my new book, Soul Rescue, How to Break Free from Narcissistic Abuse and Heal Trauma, feel free to check out my website and order your copy today at danaarcuri.com, or go on to Amazon and find my book, Soul Rescue. And thank you so much for being supportive and compassionate towards me. I so enjoy our friendship online. Have a wonderful day and take care. Bye-bye.